Hello and welcome to the show today. I have a guest that has worked within the business sector for 26 years and has consulted for Virgin Atlantic Airways, all coming up on the show. Welcome to the SYLBOURNE Show. Before we welcome our first guest, or my only guest today, I'd like to touch on a current pop culture. This week in America, the remake of Alex Haley miniseries Roots was aired on American television, and Snoop Dogg went public saying black people should not be watching it as he's tired of slavery films and that we should focus on aspects of black history that institutionalize black pride in our history and heritage. My question to you is this: should slavery be the aspect of black history that remains to be dominant and pregnant in Hollywood? Should we stop watching slavery films? And why? Or is this a story that continues to need to be told? Comment below and tell us your views and let us hear what you have to say. Now, for our guest joining us today, we have Audie Cummings. He's a management consultant operating his practice in the London Docklands University of East London. He has been a business professional for over 26 years, working with SMEs and accredited by the Institute of Independent Business and consulting for Virgin Atlantic Airways and Walt Disney, to name a few. Audley, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Finally, I got you in the right chair. I mean, I went to visit you one time at Docklands because when I meet people and I speak to them on Facebook, I sometimes, there's a connection that I get with different people and I go out of my way to reach them. And I came down to you and we did a Facebook Live, if you call.
Yeah, how can I forget? It was really inspirational.
So that's fantastic. Now, you have started off by touching on your extensive career. I want you to talk about your extensive career. You have 26 years of experience as a business professional, even though you look like 20. Tell us the story of your compliments and how you got to where you are today and working with the clients you have.
Certainly, thank you for the introduction. But certainly I'd like to consider even anything that I've achieved to have just been a foundation and just a beginning. But in terms of the beginning, if there's a word, it would be taking advantage of opportunities that I was fortunate enough to have, but endeavouring to do them with a whole heart. I think that's key. I think what's been important is there's been opportunities, but that I've made sure that I've taken as full advantage of those. And over the 26 years, what's been a tremendous opportunity is the people that I've been able to work with and how they've inspired and encouraged myself. And a lot of what I do is with those individuals in mind to further something that I believe is bigger than myself.
Yes. No, that's powerful. And of course, you know, the inspirational element is powerful because you're an inspiration. And you mentor a lot of young people as well.
Sure. I mean, what I found, particularly when we began, which would have been in Tottenham, North London, and that particular part of London, even the last 5 years, which was where I started, doesn't have one of the best reputations, but all I can conclude, it was a fantastic fertile ground for my beginning, because where we began in Tottenham, and it would have been 565 to 577 temperature chambers, which was inside the business of my previous employers. And so if I didn't have employers that I had a relationship with, who then said to me if I wanted to, I could be facilitated within their hairdressers, and that's why I began. And things took off there for me, and since then I've been trying to push the barriers beyond where they are.
And you definitely don't go with the flow.
Definitely. I like that.
Well, listen, with all experience you have had, what difficulties would you say that young entrepreneurs face? It's a question I like to ask because I aspire to reach to the young community, young people of all race, creed, and tongue. Yeah. But what would you say are some of the what's some of the obstacles young entrepreneurs face?
Yeah, some of the obstacles would be the ability to be able to consider their aspirations and to treat them seriously.
Yes.
Because something's not been done yet, or because that isn't something that's been done by somebody in their circle, it doesn't mean that it cannot be done.
Yes.
And I believe that's why I've tried to, whenever I've had some young people coming up, not much even, I wouldn't be much older than themselves sometimes, but when they're coming up, I've endeavoured to try to explain to them, we deliberately try to keep a childlike outlook about achievements, aspirations and goals.
Yeah. When you say childlike, what do you mean by childlike?
Sometimes we can become conditioned, we can become traditional and stale.
Yeah.
However, I do believe with business it has a creative aspect. There is a science to it, but there's also an art. And I believe that art form requires an inner touch with yourself that develops what I think people consider to be passion.
And you're talking about keeping it simple.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, keeping it simple with the balance of doing what you believe in that doesn't affect others, but something you can develop a career of. I mean, even I basically became a student in terms of academia and studies. I went to school when I was in my 30s. I went to university. And I think the advantage I had was I knew what I wanted. So immediately when I came to the door, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Decisions were in terms of what my dissertation research would have been, what subject I would have been. I knew exactly what I was doing. And that saved a lot of time. Where if I was younger, when I could have gone to university maybe in my late teens, I don't think I would have been so knowledgeable in terms of what I wanted to do. And I deliberately want to send a message out there to young people because, of course, people say that, the investment of education, and this is something I think it's a privilege to be able to have an education, and I think that it has its place and it's still a good investment. And it was an experience I was able to have, but also it was an experience I could have easily have missed.
Yeah. Well, looking over your bio, you have had some inspiring mentors, including the late MB Emmanuel Cotter, ambassador to St. Lucia, Professor John O'Keefe, responsible for the breakthrough for Alzheimer's, and MB Tony Wade. Tony Wade, of course, who was on this show at some time, Sure. Now, all we have had the pleasure of, as I said, on the show. What is the importance of mentorship in business, and how does one go about finding the right mentor?
Yes, it's a good question. I mean, the people you've mentioned, I've been very fortunate to have people who have been a lot more senior in years and experience than myself, who I admired. And that was important for me as a young man, having mentors such as MB Tony Wade and the ambassador for St. Lucia, Emmanuel Cotter, and also Professor John O'Keefe. They were important mentors. There was parts where they became mentors, which was purely experiential. With regards to Professor John O'Keefe, who had the breakthrough, he was the dad of my classmate, and he assisted me he asked if I wanted assistance with a subject I was struggling with. And then there was Mr. Wade, who and also Mr. Cotter, in regards to the North London Business Development Agency, which would have been on 35 Blackstock Road, around about going back to 1998, where they put on a provision of business training, which I took advantage of. But I'd also say as well that my older brother he actually was friends with Mr. Cotter as one of his sons. Yes. And he always said to me, he said, well, Audie, I always hear that you're talking about business. But look, I've recommended you go and speak to Mr. Cotter, tell him that I sent you. And, it came up that I didn't take his advice, and he challenged me on that. And I said, I'm going to go and speak to him. So I went down there and I spoke to him. And from there, he put me with his right-hand woman, Elsa Redwood. And she mentored me, they guided me, and there was decisions I would have made hadn't they sort of basically made it very clear that funding wouldn't be accessible until I followed the structured training that was there. And it was then when I completed the training that I realised that training would be a part of my life.
Now, you see, Audie, one of the things that I keep saying is that we have some serious silent giants who are out there in the community, right? And I like to say, like the Lord always talk about displaying the splendor.
Yeah.
And for the show, and I say this to people, I see Audie Cummings, I see guys like Rudy Page, Sharon Dixon, that people have, these are silent giants. Yeah. You have had many honors, received several awards for your work in business. Now, Which of these would you have said have been the most memorable, and what made you receive them? I know people make their recommendations as well, but
Sure.
you know.
I mean, all have been very fortunate
Yes.
and very important in terms of confidence building for myself. But if there's one, it would have been when I was fortunate to have been a part of, when I joined my first salon. It would have been Onyx Hair Studio, which would have been in Tottenham.
That's a hair salon.
Yeah, it's a hair salon, and I had responded to a job position that was there. And what happened is there was a competition that I had entered for the first time back in 1988, which was put on and facilitated by Dyke and Dryden. It would be what people would know today, the Battle of the Barbers competition.
Yes.
And I had been a late entry. It was being headed up at the time by Alex Chapman, who would have taken over from Rudy Page. And he literally asked me, why should I sort of consider you at such a late stage of entry? And I just sort of gave my best sales talk.
Yes.
And I was fortunate to come in at the show, but also fortunate to win and become England's best barber at the time.
Well, unfortunately, you couldn't assist me then because I have no hair. I've never been in a barbershop, man.
But I mean, it was. Well, I'd say this, Sylvan. It's you can count the amount of trees, or should I say, the amount of seeds in an apple.
Yes.
But you can't count the amount of trees within one seed, because it would be from that competition. It would become a springboard.
Say that again. I want this to land.
Yeah,
you can count.
You can count the amount of seeds within an apple.
Yes.
But not the amount of trees within one seed.
Wow.
You know.
Wow, that's powerful. That's knowledge. That's knowledge which just landed right there. Listen, Audie, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to be discussing the controversies of the remake of Roots and the miniseries that Snoop Doggy Dogg, Skizzy My Wizard, said we shouldn't watch. Okay? For more information on Audie Cummings, visit our website at SYLBOURNE.com, and please remember to visit, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, SYLBOURNE TV, as well as our other social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you for watching, and see you next time on The SYLBOURNE Show.
It wouldn't be something that I would boycott because of what he has said. But at the same time, it is something that I would think from his perspective.
Yes.
And the fact that he mentions Hollywood. We've all seen various individuals, various people, very influential characters, having some difficulties in the media.
Yes.
And we also know, as a people, do we own our own actual channels?
Yes.
And so when he cites Hollywood, and when we see the awards that have been given out, it gives us a very sort of informed and triangulated view of some improvements that politically could be made.
Yeah. Hi, thanks for watching our video. If you like what you see, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share and like, and don't forget to comment, but first subscribe.